Go ahead and move my screen over here, and we're gonna go ahead and switch screens. All right. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, oh wait, no, not YouTube. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, you already you're gonna follow. You're gonna hit that subscribe button if you're already watching on YouTube. But if you're watching on Twitch, check us out on YouTube. You feel me? Um, every single video, every single stream gets posted on YouTube. So check us out. Reactions. We got react. Wait, let's go to the playlist. So we got Hell to the Rainbow, all 3 videos, and then I gotta get. Wait, I think that's only part 2 uploaded right now. So wait out for part 3. Part 3 gonna be posted today, and then I'll have part 4 up the next day, tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow. And then we got reactions. We got 12 different reactions. You feel me? So check these reactions out. You know, we react to origins of disturbing Instagram reels. We react to Steam hacker games, anomalies in YouTube algorithm, 3 most disturbing YouTube, etc. Check that out. Yeah. And then let's see. We also got full streams, of course. So all the streams get posted here. Spirits of Fathom, that playthrough was fire. Make sure you go back and watch these Spirits of Fathom playthroughs. These were dope. And yeah, check us out on YouTube. You feel me? Is it chill time? It's definitely chill time. I'm not gonna start another playthrough right now because if I start another playthrough and try to play a game, I'm gonna be rushing through it. And I'm not trying to go past a whole nother hour today. I'm kind of tired today, y'all. Today I woke up kind of early and I had to get up at like I think 8 o'clock today. Yeah, I got up at 8. Yeah. And trying to go to sleep today, y'all. Trying to go to sleep today. I'm trying to think. Should we react to a video? We'll react to a video for sure. But I'm trying to think, should we react to probably 2 videos? Oh no. Let's see. I do want to figure out what am I doing for freaking food though. About to get some food, y'all. We about to react. It is chill time. Let's find the video. All right, so disturbing things I found on the internet. That looks actually kind of scary. Horrors of overnight TV. Yeah.
Suddenly, you're awake. As you open your
All right. Hold on. Before we watch this video, I'm about to go get my food. So grab your snack, grab your drink, and get ready. Woo! I gotta stretch. All right, I'll be right back, y'all. I haven't used the screen at all yet. So let's use the be right back screen that Bay made. Be right back screen off. All right.
eyes, you know
What's for dinner? We eating noodles. The old fashioned noodles. Not that freaking cool, but it's freaking good enough. And I got some brownies too. And I'm eating some chips.
notice that there isn't any sunlight straining out the sides of your curtains. It's still very much the middle of the night. You try to fall
I ain't gonna lie, babe. Because we about to buy this apartment and stuff, I'm probably about to start eating noodles every day. No.
back asleep, but no matter how much you lay still and try to relax, sleep never comes. An idea comes to mind. Maybe if you get out of bed and stay up for a little bit, you'll eventually get tired again and it'll be much easier to fall asleep. You walk downstairs and get a glass of water. No point in just sitting in the dark and staring at the wall though, you might as well turn on the TV. What greets you on screen is a completely different world of television that you're used to seeing during the day. All the familiar talk shows, sitcoms, soap operas, and dramas have all been replaced with other forms of content. Some of it is mundane, some of it is bizarre, and some of
I'm not gonna lie, waking up in the middle of the night and wait, I haven't been spending a dime, so I me and Bae was balling. He was balling. But yeah. I'm about to say, I used to get real like scared, bro, when I used to wake up in the middle of the night and it'd be like, okay, the shows that used to scare me, that used to wake me up in the middle of the night if I had my TV on, King of the Hill. Like something about that show is just eerie to me. I didn't like it. Another show, what's another show that used to be kind of scary? All the shows were eerie. Not all the shows. Like you got regular show, which was not regular at all, but it was funny. I love that was like the best like kids show I used to watch all the time. Regular show. Um. Oh yeah, Adventure Time was fire too. I love Adventure Time. Adventure Time, regular show. What else? Obviously, you can't go wrong with SpongeBob. Like you got a lot of shows that are fire. I mean, like all the ones in the middle of the night. Yeah, the middle of the night shows are scary.
it is downright disturbing.
You want to know what I didn't understand? For some reason, okay, it probably wasn't like this for everybody else and they TV, but for some reason, the same like channel that like Teen Titans used to come on, what regular show, Cartoon Network. For some reason, they used to play Adult Swim at night. And I used to never understood that because I guess it was supposed to be like for adults after 12 and stuff. But like, bruh, like, why would you play kids shows and adult shows on the same like channel? I don't get that. I never understood that. I just realized that. Like, I just thought about that. Why did they do that? I don't know. Like everybody goes to sleep at 12. There is nobody in the world. Well, there's people who go to sleep at 12 and before 12 actually. But there's a lot of people who don't go to sleep at 12 o'clock or after either.
You're now stuck in the world of overnight television. If you're above the age of 25 or so, you probably have a memory just like this of either waking up in the middle of the night or just staying up late and turning on the TV at 3 a.m. and seeing a bunch of weird stuff. Maybe it was a strange infomercial or a disturbing public access show, but in any event, whatever you saw probably wasn't the sort of thing that was playing during the day. Unless it was an endless barrage of Seinfeld reruns, that would also happen sometimes too. Overnight television just isn't really much of a thing anymore. Nowadays, if you were to get up in the middle of the night and want to watch something, you would have endless choices with
Hold on, y'all. All right,
platforms
let's
like
go,
YouTube
y'all.
and
Let's
Netflix.
go. This is the horrors of overnight TV. Let's go.
But when I was a kid in the early 2000s, not only was television your only real option,
Fire,
but
fire.
you'd be experiencing it in
Oh
complete
yeah,
isolation.
and I got the noodles. I'm
You
mixing
couldn't
them up
just
right
scroll
now.
through Reddit or Twitter on your phone. You were effectively alone in a dark room when confronted with bizarre late-night broadcasts. And having these encounters with this world while being so young has cemented the experience in my mind ever since. Today, I want to do my best to recreate the now lost and forgotten world of overnight TV, and we're going to go over everything. Buckle in, guys, because this is going to be a long video. Before the advent of cable television, most TV channels didn't show anything overnight. For a long time, it just wasn't profitable to spend the money to broadcast analog signals over the air if nobody was watching. So pretty much every channel would eventually stop broadcasting at some point in the night, usually at midnight or 1 a.m. Before the giant network transmitters were shut down, however, most channels would play something called a sign-off. Here in Canada, these sign-offs would usually consist of the national anthem accompanied by various patriotic videos and images, often including the Queen and royal family. In the USA,
Why is that kind of scary? That's what they show. Bro, what am I doing? I'm off on y'all. I don't know what I'm doing right now. Bruh.
strange infomercial or a disturbing public access show, but in any of Raja's sign more, it's mundane, but actually not.
I'm
various
tweaking. I'm
USA.
tweaking. I'm
In
tweaking.
Canada, these
Okay,
sign-offs would
there you go.
usually
There you go.
consist of the national anthem accompanied by various patriotic videos and images, often including the Queen and royal family. In the USA, it was basically the same thing. Patriotic imagery accompanied by the Star-Spangled Banner.
Cheers, y'all. Cheers.
I imagine some of you are feeling creeped out at this and are wondering why. Well, it's because this patriotic sign-off motif has been used in analog horror. Specifically, it was parodied in Local 58's Contingency, which shows a sign-off message saying that America has surrendered to the enemy and to honor liberty by taking the final and greatest liberty of all. As cable began to become more widely adopted, broadcasting at all times of the day became more common, even on channels that were still only sending signals over the air. Instead of signing off now, many networks would instead show automated messages after their normal day of programming was complete. Like Night Owl, for example. This service was used on several stations in the early 1980s to show automated news alerts at all hours of the night, accompanied by Kmart-sounding pop music and Atari 2600-looking visuals. Weather alerts were also included as part of these automated news dashboards, which were often accompanied by loud alarms. Again, you can see where some analog horror projects may have taken inspiration. As time went on and cable began to outpace over-the-air broadcasting in terms of wide adoption in the 1990s and the 2000s, overnight TV
How's your noodles? My noodles is amazing.
began to get more elaborate. Stations realized that there was money to be made by filling out these time slots with real programming. But what do you show if nobody is watching? The fact that these time slots have so few viewers greatly affected what TV channels will show during them. For one thing, the lack of an audience meant that there was little risk to the broadcaster if what was being shown wasn't up to the quality or ethical standards of the station, which led to very experimental and downright bizarre programming. If you had something weird or questionable that you were somehow allowed to show on TV, chances are you would be stuck in the graveyard slot. And no format of television is quite as emblematic of the graveyard slot as the infomercial. When channels began broadcasting 24/7, I think the first idea many of them had was, what if we just show commercials all night? It made sense. There wasn't an audience to disappoint, and it would be the best way to capitalize on what was previously dead airtime. But most companies that pay to advertise on TV aren't going to want to buy ad slots for a time when nobody is watching. This meant that the cost to advertise in the middle of the night was much cheaper than during the day. So much so that it was viable for even the smallest companies to buy entire 30-minute time slots purely for advertising. Now, what sort of companies do you think are going to go buy out 30-minute time slots in the middle of the night when no one is watching? If you haven't had the privilege of watching infomercials in the middle of the night, I'm going to do my best to describe what the experience was like. These programs are usually done in some sort of studio and almost always have a charismatic host that's very good at bullshitting. For 30 minutes, the same few key points about whatever product they're trying to hawk are repeated over and over again. The point of advertising in general is to hammer tiny tidbits of information into your head, and infomercials take this concept to an extreme. It's almost like a fever dream just listening to the same phrases over and over again. What makes it even more surreal.
When I was little, I used to think that all the characters in my shows were behind my TV and that's how they made their episodes like a puppet show. So you thought every single thing you seen on the TV was just behind the screen? Mo-
Is that the products themselves are often just as
That's
strange as the
actually like that's so that okay. I'm only laughing and I'm only laughing. Because it's funny. It is funny. But like that creative mind though, don't ever lose that. That's funny.
advertising method. One of my favorites is Ronco. This company just sells a lot of what I can only describe as Jimmy Neutron's dad's inventions. In one single 5-minute time span in a Ronco infomercial, you will see demonstrations of a fancy toilet plunger.
And I really designed it for the lady of the house. When she uses these, most of the time they don't work. That's why I developed the Ronco Drain Buster.
Look at how attractive that is.
Ah, It uses water and air for power.
An inflatable balloon that hangs off the top of your car that's supposed to stop people from denting your doors.
I made this particular product because my wife and my daughter both were denting the heck out of my doors. Patented Ronco door saver. No matter how hard, you can't dent the other person's door.
And a food
That is like the dumbest invention I've ever seen. I don't know what. What, bro? What? That is just a freaking cushion. Wait. That's just a balloon. Isn't that not a balloon? That dude said, let me put a balloon on the side of a car and call it an invention. Bruh, back in the day, you could have made anything and you were a genius, bruh.
dehydrator.
So, Ron, why did you invent the Ronco electric food?
I could have took a plunger and put a propeller on the back and called it a plunger airplane and said, this is the plunger airplane where it flies in your toilet and the air from you pushing down in the toilet spins the propeller. The propeller freaking the propeller, bruh. The propeller plunger, that's funny.
Dehydrator, beef jerky machine, yogurt maker.
First of all, I didn't like additives and preservatives in my food, and I happen to love beef jerky.
If you've ever seen the show Tim and Eric Awesome Show Great Job, the fictional company Cinco is a direct parody of Ronco. Cinco skits on Tim and Eric tend to be presented as infomercials revolving around absurd inventions. One of the very first trends seen on infomercials were programs advertising psychic hotlines. As far back as 1991, a company called the Psychic Friends Network were producing infomercials disguised as fake crossing over style shows where actors would interact with so-called mediums, who would of course always have some amazing revelations that you could also get if you call in for the low price of $4 a minute, which is more than $9 in today's money. As ridiculous as this sounds, you have to remember that the 90s were a different time, and belief in the paranormal and weird spirituality in general was more common back then, which is something I talked in length about in my Horrors in the 1990s internet series. As a result, the Psychic Friends Network quickly became one of the most successful series of infomercials in history, right at the inception of the ad format. At its peak, they were raking in $125 million a year, all from gullible people who were being charged to hear lies from so-called mediums on the other end of the phone who were pretending to speak with their dead loved ones and offer bogus and vague predictions about the future. A former employee of the Psychic Friends Network known as Mark Edwards would write a book in 2009 detailing his experiences working for the company, in which he flat out admits that none of it was real. The so-called psychics only needed to possess enough charisma to keep the caller in the line for as long as possible. In one case, Mark had kept one customer on the phone for 2.5 hours, which resulted in a $600 bill from the company. The Psychic Friends Network may have been the most successful infomercial psychic service, but it definitely wasn't the only one. Another prominent figure in this community was Miss Cleo, an actress from Los Angeles who would put on a fake Jamaican accent and, again, speak with actors posing as real customers on the TV who act shocked when Miss Cleo can surmise everything about them and their dead loved ones through her amazing psychic powers.
Yeah, and apparently must have been ligaments through the knee because I'm getting the pain in the actual knee down about to the ankle dot, and that's the only thing that's going to continue to bother him.
Hey, Valerie?
Uh-huh.
On a scale of like 1 to 10, how accurate was everything she just said to you?
10.
Of course, if you actually decide to shell out the $5 a minute for the privilege of calling Miss Cleo, you
Bro, the world isn't real. Sometimes the world is just a freaking computer. It's a game, bro. It has to be like you can be whatever you want. You can be a psychic reader who just tells people stuff based off how you feel and the things that they told you, and you just say, "All right, well, this is what's happening." Oh my gosh, you're psychic.
wouldn't even get to talk to her.
You tell the psychic people what's going on to begin with, and then you just hear it retold to you in different words. That's all the psychic is, bro.
You would be passed off to one of her associates who would read from a script. Also, oddly enough, Miss Cleo was the voice of
Actually, I'll take that back. It's probably some actual psychics out here who do spiritual work and actually like have some sort of significance to the things that they able to do and say. I won't downplay that. But I'm downplaying some people who putting up fronts. Like a psychic putting up a front, it's so easy to do it. All you do is listen to what the person tells you. Oh my gosh, I met this guy and I don't know if it's gonna work out. What do you think? Can you tell me the future? And all you gotta do is ask a couple questions like, okay, well, when did you guys meet? All right, well, uh, how is it right now? Oh, is it good? Okay. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, this is what I think. And then that person is gonna think that you're right because you're so called a professional, right? And then next thing you know, it end up happening anyway because they just believe that whatever they've been told is so true. You know how many relationships probably ended because of a psychic telling them some BS that wasn't even true? Like, bruh,
Poulet in
be careful who y'all listen to.
GTA Vice City. You could find basically any semi-scammy product advertised on infomercials, like self-help programs that would promise to make you rich and successful, or a reading course that promises to help you achieve a 3,000 word a minute reading speed, or Greer Childers Body Flex infomercials, which are advertising your exercise tapes. This part in particular shows you how you can improve the toning on your face by doing facial exercises, or in other words, a 90s version of mewing.
It starts with a low O. We'll then accompany it with sticking your tongue out. We will then look up so we can work underneath the eyes. Now I'm going to demonstrate this, and then you'll do it along with me.
I'm watching. What am I watching? There's no way people sat there and thought that this.
Imagine you just woke up in the middle of the night, you turn on your TV, and this is what you see. What exactly would go through your head? This sort of esoteric atmosphere plagued the world of late night infomercials, likely due to the low cost.
People still say this till this day. Say what? Say that works? That works? That's what. No. Okay. Hold on. This is what is happening. I feel like when you do that. When you do this, right? Aren't the skin that's like here that is like firmly against your face that eventually gets droopy when you get old, right? Aren't you just freaking stressing that skin out for it to like eventually like get like just imagine, what do you do with Play-Doh, right? You got Play-Doh, it's together, right? You smash it together, right? Play-Doh. Let's imagine Play-Doh in my fingers, right? You got Play-Doh. And then all you're doing, let's imagine like this is the top of my head, this is my chin, and I'm pulling my skin, and it's just making this skin stretchy, and then now it goes back to, and then it's eventually doing that over and over. And next thing you know, you got freaking droopy chins because you just did this all day. Like, isn't that not what? Bro, people got to use their brain, bro. Like, come on.
To the
like,
time slots and the little oversight.
It's supposed to tighten your skin. No, it's loosening your skin. Is it not? Because you're stretching your skin out. That's the whole point in why that's stressing your skin out. You get older and start looking like that. That's how you start getting older. That's the complete opposite of what you're. Oh my gosh, bro. Y'all, they be giving y'all girls bad advice, bro.
Given from the broadcasters.
Jeez.
One network, though, would eventually notice the absurdity of the infomercial world and harness it to create unique pieces of art that would air alongside the advertisements that inspired them. Adult Swim. On November 3rd, 2009 at 4 a.m., Adult Swim would quietly air a 10-minute segment called Icelandic Ultra Blue. For all intents and purposes, this comes off like a genuine infomercial, at least for the first couple minutes. The product being advertised here is called Icelandic Ultra Blue, a pill that can improve all aspects of your life. We hear some testimonials from happy customers, and then the host, Dr. Torsten Samuelsson, announces a contest to replace the 63-year-old company jingle with a fresh new song, and that you can enter and possibly have your music as the next Icelandic Ultra Blue theme. We then cut to a couple user-submitted songs, both of which
Imagine, imagine somebody like, okay, who can be the Ultra Boost Sonic Peel theme song? Imagine just having like, oh, what would be a funny rapper? Like, what's that one dude that, babe, what's the one rapper name? Um, I'm talking, what was the name? Oh my god, it's just so stupid though. Like having a random person's music as the theme song.
For low quality acapellas that are believable entries in a jingle contest.
Got some aches, got some pains. When it pours, it certainly rains.
The third submission, though, is a professional.
That actually wasn't that bad.
When it pours, it certainly rains. Some aches, got some pains. When it pours, it certainly rains.
Hey,
the third submission, though,
that's not
is a
bad.
professionally produced song
Got a
and
little bit
music
of a
video.
ring to it.
This ends with a credit screen that zooms out right into a scene with Wendy Klitlock, the producer of the song we just heard. He's advertising the Icelandic Ultra Blue air purifier. We get an explanation segment of how the purifier works, which apparently isolates the good air particles from the bad air particles. This transitions into a scene where the good air particles are depicted as Nazis who are throwing the bad air particles into trains and stealing their gold, which brings us into an advertisement for a mom and pop Nazi gold for cash store. The wife gets the splinter at the end of the ad, and that transitions into a splinter removal service, which the host of the previous segment apparently takes advantage of.
Oh my god. I thought ad services was bad today. Bruh. Well, no, okay. Today's ad services are bad only because they just don't have ideas. These ad services are terrible because they have too much ideas. Like, bruh, a lady picked up a gold, got a splinter, and then it goes into a splinter.
But
Bro,
it's not enough, and she dies of her splinter wound. Dr. Samuelson then walks back in.
he died of a splinter room. Oh my god. Oh my god.
To talk about Icelandic Ultra Blue Embalm Balm, an embalming fluid that can preserve a human body for up to.
He died of a freaking splinter. That's what happened. And then he started promoting his balm that says it promotes longer life. What is going on, bruh?
Splinter removal service, which the host of the previous segment apparently takes advantage of, but it's not enough, and she dies of her splinter wound. Dr. Samuelson then walks back in to talk about Icelandic Ultra Blue Embalm Balm, an embalming fluid that can preserve a human body for up to 3 months. The doctor then announces the winner of the theme song.
Did they just say? Did they just? Did they? I just. Did they just say what I think they said, bruh? That it preserves for 3 months. Who in their right mind would want to do that? Like, bro, what?
Then walks back in to talk about Icelandic Ultra Blue Embalm Balm, an embalming fluid that can preserve a human body for up to 3 months. The doctor then announces the winner of the theme song contest while the Nazi Cash for Gold husband is doing something under the blanket with his dead wife. We get a performance of the new piano ballad Icelandic Ultra Blue theme song, which gets interrupted by electric drums that are apparently unwanted accompaniment, which prompts a brief argument between the singer and the DJ, and that turns into an advertisement for a Jersey Shore nightclub. We see some happy patrons, but one of them has a really bad rash on their chest. Luckily, Icelandic Ultra stuff can help. It's the most intense skin healing known to man. You can get it as part of the Icelandic Ultra Party Pack, which is a package that contains all 4 of the Icelandic Ultra Blue products shown in this infomercial. And we finally end off with an ominous message from Dr. Samuelson.
You will buy these products. Phase 1 is complete.
The format of Icelandic Ultra Blue is pretty simple.
Dude is not real. He's not real. Hey, oh my god. I shouldn't be laughing. It's the thought that counts. Like this dude is insane. People like him lived in the 90s, bruh. Oh nah.
Samuelson.
You will buy these products. Phase 1 is complete.
The format of Icelandic Ultra Blue is pretty simple and clever. Each transition between scenes makes sense when you consider them individually, but when they're all grouped together, it makes for an infomercial that's going off the rails every couple of minutes. But as surreal as it is, it's surprisingly not terribly different from the real
Okay. Hold on. I'm not saying what they promoting is a good product. It is a terrible product. But their marketing strategy can actually work today. I feel like if you market something like this, it probably didn't work back then. Terrible. But like the way ads are now are terrible. This just makes it funny. And that's the thing. If your ad can make people laugh, that's just a cherry on top. I don't know. I think it's a no. I was trying to be cool, bro, and I don't know where my pen. Oh, it's right here.
But as surreal as it is, it's surprisingly not terribly different from the real advertisements it's parodying.
Oh my god.
If you compare the Icelandic Ultra Blues line of products to Ronco's, for example, is it even really that much weirder? Ronco shoves in your face a super toilet plunger, an inflatable car door protector, and a food dehydrator all in the span of a few minutes. Sure, the format is intentionally more bizarre, but the actual products being advertised are almost on par with each other in terms of strangeness. The idea behind this project was to sneak in a fake infomercial onto a TV channel alongside the real ones that were airing to give unsuspecting viewers a greatly enhanced version of the esoteric overnight television experience. And although Icelandic Ultra Blue wasn't very successful on release, the 4 AM time slot was so cheap that Adult Swim would continue ordering more specials throughout the years. Some of these would actually be advertising real products, like this infomercial for Aziz Ansari's comedy special, but the majority of them were just experimental films based off of the fake infomercial concept. And as time went on, they would slowly begin to creep into the realm of horror, starting off with 2013's Live Forever As You Are Now with Alan Resnick. Airing originally at 4 AM on Christmas Eve, Live Forever As You Are Now starts off by introducing us to the next big tech visionary, Alan Resnick, who is about to share with us a revolutionary new product. Before telling us just what it is he's advertising, Alan tells us how he came up with the idea for this product in the first place. After having a fight with his wife one night, Alan had a dream about walking through a forest and finding a beautiful nude woman sitting by a body of water. She beckons him towards her, and despite his love for his wife, he pursues her anyways. Before he can get to her though, a man in the fog shoots him, completely destroying his face. Alan wakes up and immediately has a great new product idea. A piece of software that can back up a human personality so someone's likeness can be preserved even after they die. In only 2 months, he creates a prototype.
You mean to tell me that there was already someone in 2013 that wanted to download people's personalities already? I thought this was like the 2040 thing that's gonna happen. 2030. No, it's already here. Bro, what? Wait, Christmas Eve? What are you talking about? What do you mean Christmas Eve? It's not Christmas Eve today, is it? Weren't listening.
Fog shoots him, completely destroying his face. Alan wakes up and immediately has a great new product idea. A piece of software that can back up a human personality so someone's likeness can be preserved even after they die.
Was released on
In
Christmas
only 2
Eve.
months, he creates a prototype and tests it out by backing up his own personality, which he shows to the audience. The backed up version of Alan appears as an uncanny rough computer animation of his face that can communicate via a text-to-speech program. For whatever reason, the computer version of Alan refers to itself as Teddy.
He's exactly like me in every way. He calls himself Teddy. I don't know why. My name is Alan. Hello, my name is Teddy. I was created to be an exact digital backup of Alan Resnick.
Alan then describes the strange process one needs to go through to digitize themselves, which includes steps like staring at yourself in the mirror for 5 hours and then sketching your face from memory in complete darkness on a piece of paper. As Alan is explaining this process, Teddy keeps interrupting by saying,
To remind you of what you did in the bathroom. I love my wife. She is nice.
Alan continues explaining the process that eventually ends up with a somewhat realistic 3D version of your face on the computer, stating that it captures even your smallest imperfections.
I am sorry, Alan. I didn't understand what you just said. I said it's our imperfections. Imperfection. To not be perfect. Defect. Flaw. Deformation. Ha 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 ha.
He then immediately transitions into an explanation about the uncanny valley, asking the audience if they've ever been disgusted after their girlfriend covers up her beautiful natural skin with disgusting makeup. Don't fret if this has happened to you, says Alan. This can all be explained with science. He then shows us a chart displaying the uncanny valley and gives us an example to explain the concept. One day, Alan was running through a forest and accidentally tripped over a rock, an ugly rock, that happens to sit at the very beginning of the uncanny valley chart, a very obviously non-human object. He then draws a pair of eyes onto it to anthropomorphize it a little, which increases his sense of empathy with the object. As he's explaining, Teddy keeps interrupting.
And then it becomes creepy. Blech. I love my beautiful wife.
Alan says that the rock is looking kinda cute now, so he continues and draws a nose and lips to make it even more cute. Then he grafts some human skin onto it, and it's suddenly not so cute anymore. It's tumbled into the bottom of the uncanny valley, supposedly like your hypothetical girlfriend and her makeup. But when Alan is explaining this, Teddy offers a very brief but very important piece of exposition.
Your rock fell down into the uncanny valley. It's down here with moving corpses, and this is where your girlfriend lives, and we're gonna try to...
Did you catch it? Let me play it again.
And this is where your girlfriend lives, and we're gonna try to...
As Alan says that your girlfriend is living at the bottom of the uncanny valley, Teddy corrects him and says, wife. Meaning that Alan is likely not talking about some hypothetical girlfriend that looks like a fake human with uncanny makeup. He's likely talking about his own wife. Remember, Teddy is supposed to be a replica of Alan, one that the audience has been led to believe has his memories and personality, but maybe not the same sense of inhibition that a real human would have. Alan keeps listing strange details of how he developed his product. These are pretty surreal comedic segments, but the thing to keep note of here are the things the avatars are saying. For the most part, they appear to be just repeating out-of-context phrases that the real human versions of these personas may have said while they were alive. Like,
This room is cold.
Oh, hello, Trish.
This room is too cold. I love to watch TV. Does this car get good gas mileage? Are we watching Murphy Brown? Roll down the windows, please.
we almost have enough information to figure out the underlying story behind this infomercial, but we'll need the ending to tie it all together.
This is my wife.
Teddy shows everybody that he's replicated what he perceives to be his wife, a floating ball of skin. He gives her several compliments, saying that she's nice, pretty, and his best friend. If we consider Teddy to be both an honest representation of Alan's inner thoughts, as well as just repeating out-of-context things Resnick may have said in the past, we can put together a story that might explain what happened to Alan's wife. All throughout this special, Resnick continually talks about skin. Whether it's the skin stress test he does, his intense devotion to creating perfect and believable digital flesh, putting human skin on a rock, getting shot and having his facial skin messed up, how he got an internship at the morgue just so he could personally study human skin, or his wife covering up her natural luminous skin by putting on disgusting makeup.
Bruh, the dude is a literal Leatherface in real life. He's freaking Friday the 13th. No, not Friday the 13th. Bro, I can't believe I forgot what that movie was called. Texas Chainsaw. Texas Chainsaw, yes.
Have you ever gone over to your girlfriend's house and she's covered her face in disgusting makeup, and you find out that all of a sudden you don't love her anymore?
This special starts with Alan explaining that he thought of this product after having an intense fight with his wife. And the only point of contention alluded to in the story is when he says his wife looked like a moving corpse when she covered up her naturally beautiful skin. Alan then dreams about being shot in the face in the woods, and then he talks about tripping over a rock, also in the forest, at which point he grafts human skin onto it. My interpretation of this story is that Alan had an argument with his wife about her skin, shot her in the face in the woods, and then grafted her skin onto a rock. He then spent the next 2 months creating a digital persona of himself called Teddy, who repeats many of the guilty things Alan no doubt was saying during the training process while dealing with the horrible thing he had done. While presenting his creation to the audience, Alan is able to somewhat hold back his disturbing thoughts and feelings, but Teddy serves as an honest representation of Alan's inner dialogue, and ends the special by showing us his ideal wife, a mass of perfect floating skin, and nothing else. There's no real definitive conclusion you can draw here. You can only really connect the dots and try your best to come up with your own explanation that takes all the little details into account. And that's a clear marker of any project created by Alan Resnick, who is merely playing a twisted fictional version of himself in this special. You may know Resnick from the YouTube ARG Alan tutorial, which was one of his earliest projects and, in my mind, is one of the greatest ever internet ARGs. Alan will go on to create several other infomercial projects for Adult Swim, but we'll get to those in a minute. When Live Forever as You Are Now aired, the infomercial series was a still relatively unknown Adult Swim project that
he talking too much for my brain right now. I'm still I'm still like my brain is like what the fuck? Excuse my language, y'all.
still resulting in many confused viewers asking what they had just watched on message boards each time a new special aired at 4 AM. But that would all change in 2014, when a particular infomercial special will blow up so hard, it arguably remains today as the single most popular piece of media ever created by Adult Swim. Too Many Cooks. I'm not gonna sit here and explain this one because you've likely seen it before. Too Many Cooks isn't even an infomercial. It's a parody of those old sitcom intros that would introduce an absurdly large roster of characters. But Too Many Cooks never ends. It just keeps introducing new characters until a villain shows up and starts killing off everyone. Too Many Cooks was the first Adult Swim infomercial project that truly outgrew its original status as a weird thing that was only shown on TV in the middle of the night. It would immediately go viral on YouTube, currently sitting at 27 million views. To put in perspective how important of a piece of media this is, Too Many Cooks is the only YouTube video to have a custom font on the YouTube player page. Success is great and everything, but Too Many Cooks would
A custom font? Had Adult Swim that got the somehow, somewhat, some way okay to put a yellow font on their YouTube video. Who at Adult Swim knows somebody at YouTube? Like, bro, what? I never seen nothing like this before. And this is the only YouTube video who has something like this. I heard a rumor that if you say Too Many Cooks 3 times in the mirror at night, then you become part of the intro. I'm convinced that every time you watch this, a new character is added. I got my sister to watch it once a few years ago, and to this day, anytime I say it takes a lot to make a stew, she yells at me. I love how the serial killer is in so many shots before he becomes apparent. This is what happens when you hire everyone at the audition. I love it how it almost looks like it's about to have a plot and then it just doesn't. Sims 4 save. Okay, all right, whatever. Bruh, these comments is like, I watched this in an empty hospital room in the middle of the night, initially thinking it was a real show. Let's not forget the selfless sacrifice made by Smurf to end this nightmare. When you die, you become a character in Too Many Cooks. Oh my god, we gotta watch it, bro. Hold on, wait. Let's watch it right here. Wait, no, I don't want to watch it on. Let's watch it from his video because I don't know if Adult Swim gonna copyright me or something.
Custom font on the YouTube player page. Success is great and everything, but Too Many Cooks would create some problems for the infomercial series. The whole idea behind these specials was to create convincing fake TV segments that fit alongside the just as weird real content that was being shown on every other channel in the middle of the night. But the only way this works is if the viewer doesn't know what they're watching. Too Many Cooks widely publicized this idea, and people began to stay up late in anticipation of catching a new experimental overnight TV film made by Adult Swim, which kind of nullifies the concept a little. As a result, the production teams making these infomercials began to get more and more creative with their formats. Like in Frank Pierre Presents Pure Resort and Casino, this special is supposed to mimic that channel that every hotel TV is tuned to when you first turn it on. You know, with the menu that shows you pay-per-view movies and the different features of the hotel and whatnot. This one is hosted by Ray Wise, and as the program goes on, things just keep getting stranger and more horrifying, much like every other Adult Swim special.
Get out.
What's that, Susan? Well, Frank, it's a video-on-demand system that delivers the latest movies from the cinema to your hotel TV.
2016's unedited footage of a bear would be the first special to really mark the transition of the infomercial format to the internet, which was the primary way these videos were being watched anyways. I mean, how many people who had cable were staying up until 4 AM to watch these live? Unedited footage of a bear is presented as a YouTube ad, and as such, we're not really going to talk about it here because it doesn't fit in with the theme of overnight television, despite being simultaneously launched on the internet and TV. No, the last Adult Swim special we're going to talk about in this video is another project by Alan Resnick, which is undoubtedly the single greatest piece of media to ever debut in the middle of the night. You're at a hotel, and no matter how hard
watching this not full screen right now,
you try, you just can't seem to fall asleep. Maybe the mattress is uncomfortable, or you're too used to your bed at home, but regardless, sleep remains out of reach no matter how hard you try. You decide to turn on the TV and surf through some channels.
Don't tell me he's doing an ad. Bro, please don't tell me he's doing an ad.
Maybe
Okay,
either
no,
you're
he's not.
you feel tired. You flick past reruns, bizarre public access shows, strange infomercials, but then you come across something that catches you off guard. What's staring at you from the screen is what appears to be a feed of surveillance cameras showing you the inside of a family home. These aren't polished, professionally filmed scenes merely meant to look like surveillance camera feeds. The audio here is thin and hard to hear, the visuals are blown out and compressed, and just look cheap overall. There's nothing other than the fact that you're watching cable TV to let you know that what you're looking at isn't real. Maybe there's something wrong with the hotel's cable box and someone's actual home security camera network somehow got mixed in with real TV channels. The feed changes to a different angle of the same house every so often. We start off by spying on a couple and their baby talking about vacation plans in the kitchen, but when the angle changes, we can see what appears to be a body laying face down on the floor that the couple seems to be completely ignoring, as if it wasn't there. We cut to a man doing some kind of home rental work in the basement, and then to the living room, where we can see an old lady, presumably the grandmother, watching TV. Also in the living room is a dressed up young boy that appears to be preparing for a birthday party of some kind. The couple keeps discussing things in the kitchen, but you slowly notice that nothing they're saying makes any sense. The man is asking why they're putting heavy metals and newspapers in the backyard where their tomato plants are.
Newspaper? That's going in the backyard? That's where the tomato plants go in the summertime.
Why do you think the tomatoes are so big in the summertime?
You'll quickly notice a theme here of nonsense talk between this couple, but we'll discuss that more in a little bit. The only time they seem to snap back to reality and have discussions that make sense though, are when they're talking about their daughter.
She left me sitting in the car for an hour, Tom. An hour. We got her that cell phone so that she could call us. She has her cell phone, but she's not calling us.
She's a kid. She's hanging out with her friends. They're doing lots of stuff. They're finding all the nooks and crannies in the world.
That's fine. Just let me know about it then.
We then learn that the body on the floor is the daughter they've been arguing about, and that she's been on the ground like this for 2 hours. The couple continues arguing, with the mother wanting more control and oversight about what the daughter is doing, and the father wanting to give their child more freedom. The mother starts taunting her daughter, who we learn is named Madison, by taking pictures of her on the floor and presumably sending them to other people.
You think you're being so cute, huh? I'm gonna show everyone how cute you are.
This is just another.
We cut to the little boy in the living room who seems to be anxiously fidgeting with whatever he can, and then back to the couple who just keep taunting and having one-sided arguments with Madison. Then we get introduced to a new character, a baby, who appears to be making some sort of mound of Play-Doh or something on their high chair, which we can see is a clear replica of whatever the man on the TV is making, who is played by Alan Resnick. The little boy relaxes on the couch, and we catch a view of a deer outside the window, and then some other unknown creature passes by. The father appears to be making light of the situation by trying to dance with his obviously pissed off wife. The little boy continues nervously moving around objects around the party table while Alan Resnick talks nonsense on the TV. The father eventually has enough and tries to pick up his daughter by the shoulders, but discovers something disturbing. Not only is Madison completely non-responsive, but she appears to be stuck to the floor. No matter how hard he tries, he can't lift her up. This seems to break the couple out of whatever haze they were previously in, and they frantically begin trying to get their daughter off of the ground. Nothing seems to work though, and they start to panic. Nobody else in the house seems to be fazed by this, except for the baby who begins crying. The boy looks out the window, noticing that his party guests are arriving, all while his parents are screaming and trying to get Madison off of the ground. He walks into the kitchen to let his parents know that the guests are outside, and the mom says that no matter what, they cannot come into the house. The father apologizes to his son, who we learn is named Jackson, who then walks away disappointed. As the couple are still freaking out, they notice that Madison is not only stuck, but she's actually somehow clipping into the floor. This prompts even more panic from the couple, all while Jackson is sadly turning away his party guests. The man in the basement finally notices something really messed up is happening above him and runs upstairs, as we get a view of Madison's face slowly peeking past the floorboards. The party guests outside all seem to be confused as to what the strange noises are, and that's when the contractor in the basement gets upstairs and is obviously stunned to see what's happening. This prompts an awkward moment of silence between everyone in the kitchen.
Oh my god. Oh.
Help! Help us! Come on! Help!
More confused guests appear outside while a sad Jackson sulks by the door, who then goes and starts packing up all the party favors into a paper bag. The wife and the workmen head to the basement to see if they can push Maddie back into the kitchen using a 2x4, while the father frantically tries to soothe his baby, and eventually gives it to their grandmother, who then puts it on the ground and continues watching her show while it crawls away on their own. Jackson starts stuffing the party favors in the bag behind his bed, while the mother and father wait anxiously in the basement to catch Maddie when she eventually completely clips through the floor, all while the father keeps repeating, "It's a test." Seemingly bored, the party guests outside begin opening Jackson's gifts and playing with them, and the workman starts trying to cut Maddie out of the floor in the kitchen while the father goes more and more off the rails in the basement, telling his wife that he praises and serves her, and that they're a family no matter what. The house starts to fill with smoke and dust from the contractor cutting through the floor, but the grandmother doesn't seem to notice and just keeps watching TV. The children outside just keep making more and more of a mess on the front lawn with garbage and toys. The smoke alarms start going off as Madison almost appears to be completely through the floor, at which point the mother runs upstairs and takes Jackson's mattress to the basement, presumably to break her daughter's fall, all while the father is pacing back and forth and talking to himself. The baby is spotted crawling outside the house, and Maddie eventually falls onto the mattress, but the camera's visual feed goes down and we can only hear screaming. We get a glimpse of the basement for just a second where we can see an empty mattress, and then it cuts to the outside view where we can see several people laying face down much like Maddie. This is where the entire feed cuts out and the credits come up. But on that credit screen, there's a link to a website called absurveillancesolutions.com. This is a dead link now, but if you were to visit it back in 2016, you would have been greeted with a pretty outdated looking website for a surveillance company. You might notice a login form at the top of this page, and a forget password link underneath it. Clicking this fills out a blank email in your default mail client, which will apparently be sent to noreply@absurveillancesolutions.com. If you sent this message back in 2016, you would receive an automated email back with login info. Using the provided username and password logs you into some sort of terminal interface, the same one that appears at the beginning of this strange television special. Internet sleuths quickly worked their magic and discovered a lot of Easter eggs hidden on this site, and I'm not kidding when I say a lot. This infomercial may have been under 12 minutes long, but its associated website held almost 2 hours of hidden videos and audio, and that's not even mentioning all the extra text files and images. While I would love to go over all of these here, this video is not about internet ARGs, it's about the strange things you can see on overnight television. If you want to see a more complete analysis of this project, I recommend watching 9mind's video about it, which is 1 hour and 40 minutes long. We're going to analyze this more or less exclusively from what's been shown to us on the TV. Because despite all the extra content,
That's actually, oh my god. TV back then was insane. TV back then was literally insane. That's actually crazy. Wow. We're gonna finish this video.
this was still designed to be consumed as a standalone piece. And to start things off, we need to talk about the title of this project, which I still haven't told you. This house has people in it. Think about what that title might imply. What's the difference between a house and a home? Home is where the heart is, but a house is not a home. And this house has people in it. Not a family, but people. One thing that's apparent when watching this special is the disconnect between all the characters. The only people who ever really collaborate in any way are the wife and husband, and then only briefly the wife and repairman. Everyone else is existing in their own bubble and not interacting with each other at all. Even when the wife and husband are talking to each other, it's only in nonsense exchanges and arguments. It's only when Madison begins going through a very real crisis that implies some sort of danger to herself when they finally snap out of it and focus on reality to try to help their daughter. But as they realize they basically have no power over the situation, the dad once again detaches from reality and starts spewing out nonsense, as well as further entrenching himself in denial by ranting about how they're a strong family. At one point, he unknowingly blocks the repairman and the mom from sliding the mattress under his daughter who's about to fall through the floor, all as he's talking to himself about how they're such a great family that can get through anything.
Little engine, a devil-crushing engine that let us build up the power and the strength and the will and the love to shatter the chains around.
I think at its core, This House Has People in It is about a broken family and neglected children. Each son and daughter is neglected in their own unique way. Madison's problems are not respected or even noticed, as we can see at the beginning of this special when her parents are just having a normal conversation while she lays motionless face down on the floor. Even worse, her mother uses humiliation and embarrassment as a method of control over her. It's only when real danger smacks them in the face that her parents take her seriously, which is a real-life parallel to the other desperate methods neglected children use to get their parents to take them seriously. Jackson, on the other hand, has a whole other host of problems. One thing you'll notice in the special is that his mattress doesn't have any sheets on it and appears to be dirty, and when the mom takes it to the basement, we can notice a bunch of garbage under it. And speaking of that action in particular, I think there's a general theme here of Jackson being neglected in favor of his older sibling. The whole house was preparing for what was very obviously his birthday party, an event that he seemed very excited for, judging on how precise he was with putting every item in the right place on the table. But when Madison has a crisis that requires her parents' full attention, he has to tell the guests to leave, and he just sort of sulks around after, with nobody really noticing that he exists. And I don't think it's a coincidence that his mom chose to toss his bare dirty mattress in particular down the stairs to save his sister, in a house that presumably contains 4 or 5 beds. And then we get to the baby, who does get a little bit of love at the beginning of the special, but again, by the end of it, it's on its own crawling outside in the yard with no one even noticing that it's missing. Almost everything in the special points to how the bad behavior of adults trickles down and affects their kids. One of the first lines from the father is about how they should use the money they saved up for a family vacation to Orlando, which was presumably going to be a child-focused trip, to instead go to Cape Town in South Africa. And I think worst of all is the grandmother, who essentially ignores everything that's going on around her. Even when chaos is erupting in the house because of a real danger to her granddaughter, she just sits there watching TV. When she's handed her baby grandchild to look after in this crisis, she appears disgusted and just puts it on the ground so she can watch her TV in peace. The only consistent thing in This House Has People in It is a dysfunction between characters, and like we said before, the title basically sums it up. It's not a home, it's a house. It's not a family, it's just people. But what about that creature that passed in front of the window, and why are all the party guests lying on the ground at the end? Well, those parts can only really be explained by the online bonus material, which doesn't really paint a more complete picture, it just adds many different unrelated plot lines to this story. That's kinda Alan Resnick's style, and if you want to get the whole story, go check out Nightmind's video. And by the way, that little hotel intro thing that we did, that was based on a Reddit comment from Alan Resnick, who said that he imagined the viewer being in a hotel room and not being able to sleep, and just flicking through the channels until they eventually happen upon a feed of security cameras. This House Has People in It is a masterclass in experimental horror. It manages to use a non-conventional format with great horror to express very real and grounded concepts. It's the sort of film where you can analyze every frame and find something you can assign some sort of meaning to, and it's undoubtedly the greatest work in the infomercial series. But it's not an infomercial, is it? The problem with the infomercial series is that it very quickly outgrew its original concept of parodying bizarre late-night advertisements, which makes sense. There's only so much content you can make around a narrow idea like that. But many of these specials did take influence from another pretty iconic section of overnight TV, one that we haven't yet discussed: public access. As TV networks began to become larger and more syndicated in the 1970s, the FCC in the United States introduced a new mandate to force broadcasters to maintain locally made content in every market they entered. Networks would need to set aside budget and airtime to provide channels for educational purposes, government purposes, and most importantly for our story, public access. This would be a way for non-professional creative people to be able to produce and broadcast their own low-budget TV programs. The barrier to entry for making your own public access program is surprisingly low, with networks being mandated by law to provide budding TV producers with the equipment and airtime to make their dreams possible. This has resulted in a lot of great media figures and franchises getting their start on public access, like Tom Green for example. In my hometown of Ottawa, Tom got his first taste of TV production on the Canadian equivalent of public access, pioneering a lot of popular internet content formats in the process, like wacky man-on-the-street interviews or cringy prank videos.
Ask you where you're going? Answer my question. Where the hell are you going? Answer my question. Where are you going?
Mystery Science Theater 3000 also got their start on public access and used it to quickly etch a deal with the Comedy Channel to become a nationally broadcasted TV show. Alex Jones also began his media career on public access, and honestly, I feel like he fits in much better on a wacky, low-budget, low-stakes public access show than being a person with any real influence.
Police can have laser or infrared beams, if you want to call it, and they can project those into your house.
Yeah, the Austin Police Department's, last time I heard, has 20 units with infrared. If you have enough of a heat source in your house, it'll pick up the heat source.
And it's with Alex Jones in particular where we start to approach the more risque parts of public access TV. You see, broadcasters providing airtime for public access is mandated by law.
So back in the day, anybody, literally anybody can just go on TV. With just $10, you can go right on TV. I mean, bruh, what the?
They have to fill a certain amount of time slots whether they like it or not. A lot of times, networks will push their public access airtimes to the middle of the night so they can keep their primetime air slots open for more lucrative content. As we know, stuff that airs in the middle of the night is considered low stakes by broadcasters and thus has less oversight. And public access in particular has no oversight, as part of the reason it was even written into law in the first place was so it could be a true expression of free speech. So what we're dealing with is a format of low-budget television that almost anyone can produce that has no oversight from the networks that are airing it, showing on TV at a time when almost no one is watching. As you can guess, overnight public access TV is probably the strangest television you'll ever see. This world varies from the bizarre, to the disturbing, to the risque, and to the immoral. There's a lot to cover here, but it's worth mentioning that what we're going to discuss today is only a small subsection of public access TV. A lot of these shows aired on local networks 40 or 50 years ago, and many have been completely lost to time. And pioneered some formats that would go on to be popular on the internet many years later. In a lot of ways, I think public access television was the closest thing to YouTube that existed pre-internet. YouTube's motto was broadcast yourself, and that's what public access TV allowed you to do since the 1970s. And as a result, you can find many formats of content on public access that would eventually become commonplace on YouTube. Like, for example, horror shitposting. This is a genre of content we've covered extensively on this channel. Whether it's Contran, Obey the Wallers, the Russian Death Files, or the many disturbing unwatched videos, horror shitposting was a staple horror format of early YouTube. Even today, the genre still persists somewhat, with YouTubers like User9472 modernizing the concept of short, nonsensical horror clips that are disturbing purely through their absurdity. But on public access TV, this concept was being done 28 years before YouTube even launched. In 1987, on Ohio Public Access, viewers who had stayed up late enough would be treated to something they had never seen before. A fever dream of horror movie segments that cut and repeat wildly, interspliced with nonsense commentary from a puppet known as the Doctor. This is Asylum for Shut-ins, video psychotherapy.
This is the Asylum for Shut-ins. Follow me into darkness.
While YouTube nowadays is very adverse to any sort of blood or violence being shown on screen, public access TV in the 80s had no such restrictions, and Asylum for Shut-ins horror shitposting style involves what can only be described as ultra-violent gore, jump cutting and repeating in the same manner horror shitpost videos on YouTube would 30 years later. Now again, I want you to return to that same old scenario. Imagine it's 1987 and you're just flicking through the channels in the middle of the night, and you come across Asylum for Shut-ins. What would go through your mind?
A very powerful drug or liquor or any of the other wonderful things you can get hooked on. You love television, but why? You love the horrible, but why?
The commentary from the Doctor is a total contrast from the bloody and disturbing visuals. He speaks in this ridiculous Kermit the Frog voice. Nothing he says really has any substance, and he just kind of jokes around while people are being tortured and killed in between his quips. It's truly a surreal experience.
I can't believe you're watching this show. Don't you have anything better to do?
A program that was even more surreal than Asylum for Shut-ins was Voidoid, which aired on Texas Public Access in 1999. This one has a similar shitposty atmosphere, but with a lot more editing and creative visuals. It's a little hard to describe what's going on in Voidoid. I think it's probably best described as a sort of drug trip without any sort of plot. Again, I implore you to imagine that you just happen upon this show while channel surfing one night. And even more crazy than both of those, at least in some ways, is What's Your Problem? These skits were part of a now lost unnamed public access show that aired in New York in 1985. The show consists of a man trying to put his fork into a dead
Did y'all pay? Did you just see that? Burt Reynolds in Fatal Illness Scare. Baby farm for organ transplants.
aired in New York in 1985. The show consists of a man trying to put his fork into a dead fish, but every time he tries to do so, a mysterious force seems to yank it away. Every couple of seconds, a voice blares out either, "What's wrong with you?" or "What's your problem?" which prompts the man on screen to get defensive.
I'm trying to eat a fish. What's wrong with you? Trying to eat a fish and it falls off the plate. Would you shut up? What's wrong with you? You're bothering me more than a fish is bothering me. Would you shut up and leave me alone?
This process repeats for 3 minutes until the program moves on to the next scene, which is a different man fidgeting with some weird Freddy Got Finger contraption of pulleys and hanging arrows. This time the voice coming from off screen is making nonsense, vaguely accusative statements towards our host, which prompts hesitant agreement from him every time. Again, this repeats for about 3 minutes.
The greatest remedy for anger is delay. Well, yeah. If you keep a green branch in your heart, the singing bird will come. Well, yeah.
There's a few other sketches here that all more or less follow this format. A person on screen will be doing something absurd while being commented on by a voice off screen, which prompts the same reaction every time for the person on screen. I'm not too sure what point this is trying to make, if any at all. It could just be weird for the sake of being weird, like many other programs on public access. This sort of loosely structured experimental programming is typical of public access. It was rare for these shows to follow the set formats that you would.
Alright, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up that stream. This has been it has been a fire and a very interesting stream, bro. This stream was interesting. The game we played was fire and interesting. Even the reaction videos was interesting. But yeah, we gonna go ahead and wrap that up, y'all. I hope everyone is having an awesome night, whatever time of day it is for you. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for your boy. We go live every single day at 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. Yeah, feel me on Twitch. If you're watching this on Twitch, hit that follow button. We are trying to get to affiliate. And yeah, y'all, we gonna go ahead and wrap that up. Peace out, y'all.